The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them graves. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high. I wonder when it does now comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party. The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high. I wonder when it does now comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party. The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high. I wonder when it does now comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy and a blessed Tuesday to each and every one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the continued support. Happy Tuesday to everyone in television land, and happy Tuesday to all our silent viewers, and also to everyone in the chat. And happy Tuesday to those of our new subscribers. Really appreciate the support, and thank you for coming on board. Really appreciate that. Before we start, I see Anthony R. Welcome. He's saying that today is his birthday. So happy Earth Strong, Anthony R. Hope you're having a wonderful and blessed day so far. Enjoy the rest of your day. So guys, you can just send out birthday wishes to Anthony R. And thank you so much for tuning in on your birthday. All right. So remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show some support by subscribing. It will be greatly appreciated. So as usual, host is Byron and Anne-Marie. And tonight's topic is Parliament mashup. Vybz Kartel will be heading back to court. I think that's the what we're going to be discussing tonight. So welcome each and everyone again. So I'm just going to acknowledge those in the chat, and then we're going to start the discussion. So Doja Fox was there earlier. Don Mel, Cynthia B, welcome. Bless up to our channel member. Really appreciate you. Okay. Donna Williams, Isaac's family, Sharon Savage, Anthony R, as I mentioned before, Six Sire, Joan Brown, Marvery Lloyd, Sonia Ellis, Laris Beckford, Michael Reason, Juba Bruce Love TV, Debbie Miller, Una Vassal, Deborah Cohen, Letitia Elliott, and Truck Life. Big up on yourself. Happy and a blessed Friday. Okay, also JP is in the building. Thank you so much for tuning in. Did I say Friday? Sorry, guys, you know that's okay. So happy and a blessed Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. So without any further delay, I'm just gonna hand over to Baron to get into the discussion.
All right. Thank you, wifey. Well, you know, today is not our usual day, right? But you know, we are just trying to extend ourselves as it relates to you know, come in early in the week to provide vital information, right, to our electorate. Now, we have seen an embarrassment, an embarrassing situation, right, that unfolds in the Parliament today. And this should show us, as it relates to Jamaica Labour Party, right, wanting to double down as it relates to their corruption, right? They believe that if they bully Mark Golden, right, he's not going to speak the truth. But we have seen Mark Golden, right, stand resolute to deal with the corruption. And this is something that, you know, Jamaican locally and in the diaspora need to know and have an understanding as it relates to our next Prime Minister. I am not even going to use the word potential. Mark Golden is going to be our next Prime Minister. Now, a man that has integrity, a man that has morals, a man that gone beyond his tour of duty in terms of making sure, right, that he passed legislation to fix the corruption in Jamaica. I heard Jamaica Labour Party bragging about, you know, them being static at 44 and that the PNP was worse. Andrew Holness need to speak the truth. That the reason why we are at 44 is as a result of Mark Golden, right, deals with the Integrity Commission Act. And as a result of the Integrity Commission Act put in place, right, that is how the corruption index rests at 44. And this is the thing with Jamaica Labour Party, right? They have a problem with the truth, right? And want to take all the achievement what PNP has done, right, and put into their column, right? This is such a wrong. However, I am going to get into today's activities as it relates to what transpired in the Parliament. And then, of course, we are going to give some dialogue on it. Without any delay on it, just find that clip and have it presented.
One second.
Mr. Speaker, change at the national level must focus on good governance. In this modern era of pervasive information sharing and communications, good governance is increasingly essential to maintain the people's trust and confidence in our democracy. Citizens are demanding that their leaders uphold the highest standards of accountability, transparency, and trustworthiness. All the measures that I've outlined for implementation will only be possible if we change the approach to governance that now exists. I'll leave you with the ways, means, quality, and spirit of the change in governance that we commit to. And good governance isn't just a set of ideals. It is the foundation upon which an equitable and just society can be built. The People's National Party has always been committed to fulfilling these ideals, and we will translate these principles into tangible actions that uplift and empower every member of our society. Mr. Speaker, we are in an increasingly low trust environment. Since the JLP government came to office in 2016, no less than 8 ministers have been forced to resign or have been otherwise sanctioned for a range of serious breaches, and Jamaica continues to rank poorly on international corruption indices. The move in 2020 to take away the chairmanship of most parliamentary committees from the opposition has weakened that mechanism of holding government to account. The maneuvers to delay the tabling of reports from the Auditor General and the Integrity Commission remains a contentious matter, especially since the legal opinion on which this delay is purportedly based has been withheld from parliamentarians and the wider public. When the former Speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government of the day. That is the tradition. That is the tradition. The failure. Mr. Speaker.
Members.
The failure to identify the so-called illicit 6 MPs.
Oh, he's up, Mark.
Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides. Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides. Your Prime Minister fire you. Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides. Both sides.
The failure to disclose the identity of the so-called illicit 6 MPs who are under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment.
Member. Both sides. Who can continue?
At this time,
Both sides. The Prime Minister fire you, both sides.
at this time, there's by number.
Both sides.
Goodness.
I will not continue in this. So I'm asking members to be quiet. Thank you. Section 7 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives of Jamaica says the quorum of a house and of a committee of the whole house shall consist of 16 members beside the person presiding. If at any time during a sitting of the house objection is validly taken by any member that there is not a quorum present, the person presiding shall direct members to be summoned, and if at the end of 5 minutes a quorum be not present, he shall adjourn the house without question put. If at any time during a sitting of committee of the house and the house object, and I read section 2, subsection 2 of section 7, and as it stands, I am now summoning members to come on the inside of the chamber, and we will wait for the 5 minutes.
Let me finish find this. What an embarrassment. My God. Such a disgrace. Such a disgrace.
They're not returning.
People, meanwhile, we are anticipating for them to return. Right? We have witnessed such a disgrace as it relates to the Andrew Holness-led government. And the truth be told, what did Mark Golden said that was wrong and was not true? Everything that Mark Golden had spoken of, right, is true, particularly the concern where this government is as it relates to trust, as it relates to the level of corruption in the Jamaica Labour Party, right? And when you see those persons who went out with Andrew Holness, show you that they're tied to the hip as it relates to corruption. But I continue to say that Mark Golding is going to expose the corruption. The losing of the KSMAC is critical to us as a people to have an understanding of the high level of corruption that had taken place through the KSMAC. Now, when you look and you see the level of corruption, and particularly where the Integrity Commission has the Prime Minister under investigation, had given the Prime Minister time upon time to verify his statutory declaration by present relevant documentation to justify
this honorable house is now adjourned.
Okay, so they return, so let me keep quiet.
It's adjourned.
It's adjourned. Okay.
They didn't return.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, so let's
So with the mark going outside.
when you're ready, we'll bring it up.
Okay,
You ready
let's
for
put
it
it
now? Okay.
Okay, so Mark Golding, being the champion he continue the people's business outside. And I want to also show you that as well.
I don't have a microphone, but I'd like to finish my speech. I'm very near the end. So I hope somebody will film this. And I hope that you'll be able to hear what I say.
Never the media here?
Yes.
Hold on, 1 second.
Your media?
Yes, from the dealer.
He's from the cleaner.
Oh, cleaner. All right.
Can you hear me though?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
All right.
The point I was making when the Prime Minister chose to walk out and was left the Parliament without a quorum. I think it's the first time this has ever happened in independent Jamaica. That in a budget speech, the opposition has been denied the opportunity to finish their presentation. And here I am assembled on Duke Street. I was near the end anyway, but there were some important points that needed to be made. And I'm going to continue. The point I made when they walked out was this. When the former speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. That is a fundamental principle of the Westminster system of democracy. And it is protected in a number of ways. For example, in the United Kingdom, nobody runs against the Speaker in an election. They make sure the Speaker is elected because that person is supposed to be independent. So that, I think, that move to do what happened in our case here was inconsistent with that level of independence that's required. The failure to disclose the identity of the so-called illicit 6 MPs who are under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment remains a festering sore, only made worse by the Prime Minister's gag order on his own cabinet ministers from speaking publicly on matters to do with the Integrity Commission. The Prime Minister's statutory declarations of assets and liabilities and income have not been certified and published by the Integrity Commission for successive years. It is untenable for the head of government of Jamaica not to be in good standing with the country's Integrity Commission for a prolonged period. All I can say to him, and I would have said it to him if we were still in the house, all I can say, if I were in your position, I would take with myself and hand over to someone else who is not compromised.
Amen.
Jamaica's iconic global track superstar, the Honorable Usain Bolt, and many other innocent investors were carried down in the scandalous SSL fiasco. And we can't hear anything about charges being brought against the culprits. I have been told that the DPP's office is dragging their feet when there are a number of people that the Financial Investigations Division are seeking to bring charges against. In fact, in August last year, the Gleaner carried a report that from the FID that there were several persons that they were intending to move against with charges. That report is no longer on the Gleaner website, but I am told that the DPP's office is dragging their feet on this. The Kroll forensic report, which has cost taxpayers millions of dollars, was delivered to the government months ago. It must be released to the public so we can see what the findings are. Jamaica will not accept a cover-up of this shameful debacle, which has tainted our country's reputation as a safe and well-regulated place for Jamaicans at home and abroad to save and invest. In fact, a commission of inquiry into this SSL scandal will be needed. Jamaica is crying out for change in this area. This is why I have identified an entire cluster of portfolios within our own governance structure to address the now desperate area of transparent and accountable governance. We must translate good governance principles into tangible action that restores trust and confidence in our leaders and preserves our cherished freedoms and democratic way of life. Change means no more hiding of the truth from Jamaicans. Change means no more deception in official public communication. Change means putting transparency and communication at the heart of good governance. It affirms that respect is due to those who elect governments and pay taxes. That's why we will implement a comprehensive strategy centered around engagement and accessibility. Our aim is to ensure that every voice is heard, to bridge the gap between leadership and the people. This means holding town hall meetings, physical and virtual, to give every citizen a voice in the decision-making process. It means conducting community walks, listening to the concerns of our constituents, and working together to find solutions. It means providing regular progress reports on projects and programs and keeping the public informed and involved every step of the way. Change means practicing accountability as a central principle of good governance. That's why, after the terrible incident of the woman being beaten in public with a stool, I tabled an impeachment bill in the House of Representatives in 2021 to provide a mechanism to hold to account any parliamentarian whose egregious conduct brings his or her office into disrepute. Despite this having been a manifesto promise of this JLP government from the 2016 general elections, my impeachment bill has not been allowed to go forward to a joint select committee for wide stakeholder consultation and then be passed into law. They don't believe in accountability. When I entered the political arena, there were some entrenched ways of doing things. Making change happen requires a fresh approach. Things will be very different under my watch because I will tolerate none of it. The last PNP administration put local government in the Constitution. We passed the 3 strategic laws to modernize the legal framework of local government in keeping with modern best practices. One of those laws, the Local Governance Act, makes provision in Section 18 for the recall of an elected mayor, and it may be initiated by a petition alleging a charge of gross misconduct or dereliction of duty, and it has to be signed by at least 25% of the registered voters in the city municipality. The next PNP government will institute a fair and balanced recall system for elected officials, both at the local government and parliamentary level, to deepen accountability and empower the voters with recourse where they are badly let down by whoever they elect to parliament. Change means not taking away the rights of the people of Portmore without proper consultations with them, followed by a referendum to let them make the decision whether or not they want to give up their city municipality status and their right to directly elect their mayor, a right given to them by the People's National Party. Jamaica has spoken, and the PNP has listened to the concerns of the people. We are offering solutions based on thorough research and consultation with our stakeholders. We will embark on this journey together with the people towards a future where opportunity for advancement is not a privilege, but a right for all. We commit to good governance for the people of Jamaica, not as some abstract concept, but as a living promise fulfilled to every citizen of our nation. We are on a fast track on the road to change, and we invite all Jamaicans along this exciting journey in a spirit of hope for a better and brighter future for all our people. And I would have ended, thank you, Madam Speaker, but I won't end that way because I'm not in the Parliament. I'm on Duke Street with my...
Trumpet has sounded, my countrymen all. Awake from your slumber and answer the call. The torch has been lighted, the dawn is at hand. Who joins in the fight for his own native land? Land of my birth, I may soon be loyal and faithful, true to thee.
All right. So there you have it as it relates to what Mark Golden, right, stand for. Now I want to hear the person and persons out there who claim that Mark Golden don't have any spine, who claim that Mark Golden is wishy-washy. Now let me tell you something. Mark Golden is indeed a moral leader with a moral platform. And so then, Mark Golden is going to deliver such leadership to us. Now, people, let me say this as it relates to the level of corruption that Jamaica is dealing with. Andrew Holness know very well that coming March 31st, coming this March 31st, his statutory declaration will not be verified. He knows. And so then, here it is in clear detail. Andrew Holness is proceeding down the way of a dictatorship government. Now, there are 3 reports that have sent to Parliament, and Andrew Holness' wife hit on those reports. So what is she saying? That Jamaican people, we are not deserving of hearing the information as it relates to what is happening, as it relates to corruption in our political system. Andrew Holness is the most corrupted prime minister in the history of the Caribbean. And here's no joke. Andrew Holness had done things that no other Caribbean leader has ever done. Which other Caribbean leader under investigation and his wife, right, sits in Parliament as the Speaker of the House. And while she sits in Parliament, being the Speaker of the House, having assets that she cannot legally justify as it relates to illicit enrichment. And Jamaica need to take this. Jamaica need to take this. Remember, I sent out a clip where we see Warmington now defending Andrew Holness. Remember, Mystic Sensation had already told people that he's a flip-flopper. Flip-flopper. So people must not, right, try to be deceived in terms of their so-called disagreement when it comes to corruption they are going to protect each other. Right? The level of corruption in the Jamaica Labour Party. So without any further ado, right, let us show Jamaican people the level of corruption that we are dealing with. You'll find the video. Okay. Stop this.
Okay.
So let us get into the art of corruption. All right, people. When Mark Golding, right, is talking all these things in Parliament as it relates to corruption, and that this Prime Minister here that you are looking on, right, has no sense of checks and balance, has no sense of checks and balance. And right about now, it appears that Andrew Holness and Juliet Holness, they are a part of the six. It now strongly would want to seem that Andrew Holness and Juliet Holness are a part of the six. Let us read on. History will credit Prime Minister Andrew Holness for a number of achievement, among them having the lowest level of unemployment in Jamaica in 40 years. This is a nasty lie. Reducing the debt to GDP ratio in the last 8 years and presenting the most known tax budget over the same period. Yes, because what you do, you shift from direct tax to indirect tax like you can't fool anybody. You can't fool anybody. Shifting from direct tax to indirect tax, right? Now you can't fool nobody. The same history, according to political scientist Dr. Paul Bourne, will also know that he has presided over 2 administrations since 2016 that have seen a record number of senior members at the center of high-profile scandals. This led to a record 8 top officials of his government being either fired, reshuffled, or forced to resign under a cloud. What an embarrassment. It is not a record that any Prime Minister wants to set. But this Prime Minister, you love it. But it's a record that has been set. And it's just been going over his head. He can't do anything about it. Because he has people who say and do what they want to, when they want to, like Warmington and others. Dr. Bourne told the Sunday Gleaner in an interview. This is a record for him. And it's not a record he wants, but it's a record that has been created under his watch. I don't think it's one he wants to remember, but history will not allow him to forget it. Him personally participated, right, in the act of corruption. Personally participated in the act of corruption. He continued, and that's why I love this local government election result, because it has brought everyone down to earth. They, politicians, are arrogant and cocky, and this election has been a slap by the Jamaican people that they have seen enough and they want no more of it. The corruption is so clear, so apparent, that even on the local government election, particularly where Portland is concerned, no one respects the law. As people continue to vote beyond 5 p.m., that is already established as a protocol and policy. But guess what? The Jamaica Labour Party, who entrench in corruption, right, have no hesitation in breaking those rules and regulation. No rules and regulation govern them. And guess what? A corrupted DPP. Let me say it. Because for those people who want to pretty up like the DPP is an angel, right? The DPP don't aware as it relates to the procedures being broken, where people are allowed to vote up to 9 p.m. in the night. Okay? You hear nothing from the DPP, you hear nothing from PSOJ. In 2018, the Holness administration was faced with resignation of the Science and Technology Minister, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, over a report of nepotism, cronyism, and corruption at Petrojam. The state-owned oil refinery and the National Energy Solutions Limited, two entities under its portfolio. He was accused of direct interference in the operations of Nestle, while an audit of Petrojam revealed that billions of dollars of petroleum could not be reconciled, as well as administrative weaknesses at the entity. Several employees of the entities lost their jobs and some are still under investigation. There is no evidence that Wheatley benefited from the improprieties at the entities, but he was forced to step down as portfolio minister. 6 years later, Wheatley is still on the backbenches of Parliament. Worthless. Now, so one next work this one here. So one next work this one here. But damage our education system. Any government, people, any government you see that aims to damage and cripple our education system cannot mean the people any good. Cannot mean no Jamaican no good. And about them run out. They talk about every ghetto youth is a star. You never know, say every ghetto youth is a star when rural read. You understand? They do this to the education minister, the education sector. You never know, say every ghetto youth is a star. When rural read, they do this. And guess what? And now, he's supposed to go back to court on the 12th of January 2024. Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything, Andrew Holness, about rural read? Was supposed to return to court January 12, 2024. Want to keep it on a hush-hush? Let me talk about thing them. Want to keep it on a hush-hush? Rural Read supposed to go back to court January 12, 2024. Want to lock that off from the people. What is happening? So then you allow your friend them to thief taxpayers' money. Mash up our education system. Is a wicked vampire government. I hear later in March 2019, then Jamaica College principal and education minister Roy Reid was gone from the cabinet, following reports of corruption and misuse of public funds at the education ministry and the Caribbean Maritime University. This is the man who used to advise you when you were Ministry of Education. When you were Ministry of Education, and while the Integrity Commission investigate you between the period of 2007 to 2009, partially for the same thing, you are no different from Rural Read and Holness. As a matter of fact, it seems like you passed on some traits to Rural Read. The office of the Prime Minister said Reid, who was once an advisor to Holness, was removed from the post in keeping with the principles of good governance. Professor Fitz, then head of the CMU, was also a casualty of the scandal. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Adverse finding of the Auditor General Department and a parliamentary committee regarding questionable practices at the Education Ministry also led to then Permanent Secretary Dr. Grace McLean being sent on leave. She, along with another former Permanent Secretary, Dean Roy Bernard, were deemed accountable as the accounting officers for the misuse of funds and were levied with heavy surcharges. However, McLean was cleared last year after the statute of limitation, and this is what the DPP Parliamentary, right? For some people who claim that the DPP is professional, this is what she's doing now, using statute of limitation to get off the criminals, and the corruptors. Statute of limitation now being executed, being a favorable weapon of the DPP. You understand? Not to advance herself in situations like this, when we know that the DPP is powerful and can commence any investigation that she want to. But she take away herself conveniently from situations like these, particularly relating to Andrew Holness-led government. Right? However, McLean was cleared last year after the statute of limitations for the repayment expired, reportedly because of the Education Ministry lack of cooperation with the Finance Ministry. Read his wife Sharon, is a family affairs. You understand? Ripping the treasury for the family and friend. You understand? Just like Andrew Holness has wealth, billions of dollars in wealth that he cannot explain. Billions of dollars. He cannot discipline not one member for corruption. Andrew Holness cannot discipline one member for corruption. Cannot. Read his wife Sharon, their daughter Cheryl Pinnock, and Jamaica Labour Party GLP Councillor Kim Brown Lawrence are now facing accusation in relation to nearly $50 million, which law enforcement claim was allegedly diverted from the CMU, the criminal action. They are to stand trial for a range of offences, including breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act, conspiracy to defraud, misconduct in a public office at common law, and breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act. I want to know what is going on with the case. Look at Carl Samuda in 2017. Look how him worthless now. Look how him worthless. In 2017, Carl Samuda, the then Office of the Contractor General, initiated an investigation into alleged impropriety in the award of contracts, the issuance of license, and the implementation of projects by the Jamaican Dairy Development Board. Carl Samuda, who was the Agriculture Minister at the time, is alleged to have benefited from having a dairy board 14-acre demonstration plot of Mombasa dairy feeding grass on a property he owned. Just imagine, people. Right? How taxpayers have to feel it under the hands of them people here. Right? Him take what belongs to taxpayers and carry go up a field yard. Unless the man them out on. Eh? And now, my goal not tell the truth in a parliament. Uno walk out. Uno walk out and just go to the door and just go outside, go turn up. Why do we not walk out? Take a taxi and go down a river and go dump on yourself and not come back in a parliament. Andrew Holness, tell the people who walk out with you. Right? The one who got charter one shot. Go down a Riverton City and dump on yourself when nobody come back in the parliament. Because Jamaica no wants to know. No, Jamaica no wants to know. We don't want to know government. You understand? She no know about the broke neck. The whole of need to resign and go on and leave Jamaica people and tap from step into the Jamaican people and neck. Uno is a disgrace to the Jamaican society. The investigation concluded that the action was a personal benefit from an agency under Samuda's remit and represented a conflict. Although he denied any wrongdoing, he go deny it. And his part, the investigative body deemed his action ethically reprehensible. In 2018, cabinet reshuffle, Samuda was removed from the agricultural ministry. He resigned from the cabinet last year while serving as Minister of Labour and Social Security. He never do well up the stuff. Neither. You understand? Canadian farm workers suffer under Carl Samuda. Suffer under Carl Samuda. GSD Hutchinson, what is one now? GSD Hutchinson was stripped of his duties as minister with responsibility of agriculture in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries in 2020 amid conflict of interest claims in Holland estate land deal. It was revealed that Hutchinson, via a letter, instructed the Sugar Corporation of Jamaica to transfer at least 1,400 acres of 2,400 acres Holland estate in St. Elizabeth to Holland producers, a company in which Hutchinson, partner and mother of his son, Lola Marshall Williams, reportedly had a 50% stake. And not only him alone do it, and only Hutchinson alone do it, you know. Woolly for the member of parliament, but you know, wait until the KSMC forensic investigation start running at desktop. You know, go to say, you know, have Woolly for JC Hutchinson amongst, you know. It was also revealed that their son, Jason, operated a company, Holland Farm and Garden Supplies, and the property. Look how not take hard-earned taxpayers' money and do. Look what you people, hard-work taxpayers' money doing. Now watch this one here. Robert Montague. You watch him. Following 6 years of turbulence during the JLP term in office, which led him being reshuffled numerous times due to sagas involving the portfolios under his management, Montague resigned from the cabinet in 2022, one full of corruption. Corruption plus corruption equal corruption times corruption. His troubles began with the 400 million police youth car deal during his tenure as National Security Minister in 2017. Years later, the Jamaica Constabulary Force is yet to get the promised number of vehicles under a contract with O'Brien International Car Sales and Rent. I want to see how them people are wicked with taxpayers' money, man. Eh? I don't know how people can say them a vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. Listen to me. This election that is coming, we want to make sure so when we're done with Jamaica Labour Party, they are not in opposition. We prefer to use a third party in our opposition. I'm dead serious. We prefer to use a third party in opposition, not the Jamaica Labour Party. Because no other party can do worse than Andrew Holness led government. It remains unclear if the contract has been discharged. Montague was also the subject of an Integrity Commission report that gave adverse findings against him in the handling of gun permits at the Firearm Licensing Authority. Anyway, the Treasury there, we don't want dip in it and talk about how represent people. And talk about how represent people. When is a disgrace to Jamaica. Disgrace to Jamaica. So then we're not surprised to walk out of the parliament, you know. But you shouldn't go back in there. You should end up at Riverton City. Riverton City dump, but down there want to go. In 2021, as then Minister of Transport and Mining, he was again under pressure because of the Airport Authority of Jamaica, questionable investment in First Rock Capital Holdings and Clarendon Aluminum Production Limited. There is no evidence that Montague benefited personally from any of the transaction under investigation. And that you know what to do, and then you talk about there is no evidence, blah, 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 blah. Look on this one, flight green. Look on this one. Literally disgrace. Literally disgrace this. Flight green presents at an event during COVID-19 lockdown in 2021 was his undoing. He resigned as an Agriculture and Fisheries Minister. But in 2022, he was back at the helm of the revamped ministry. Just imagine. You understand? Your Andrew Holness-led government locked down the people in COVID-19. And you being a minister, who should know better? Who claims that you're a leader? You understand? In celebratory mood, right? In a crowded environment where you help aid in spreading the COVID-19 and definitely highlighting yourself, you understand, mocking people, how people got locked up and you free to do what you want to do. You understand? These are the sort of behavior, you understand, in a Holness-led government, bad man government. You understand? Look here, the amount of damage what you people do Jamaica, you know, it's very serious, you know. So, all of you people should just resign. Green was not linked to any issue of corruption. Right? But look on that. Marissa Dalrymple for Filbert. You people are calling her mama. Mama where? Mama for who? Now last year, Marissa Dalrymple for Filbert resigned as Speaker of the House and Member of Parliament for Trelawney South following a damning Integrity Commission report. All of who know, all of them, every single one of them, they get down night treasury. The Integrity Commission recommended that criminal charges be brought against her for making a false statement in her statutory declaration after omitting the purchase of a Mercedes-Benz motor vehicle from her filings between 2015 and 2021. A Jack Smith 2.0 you want to give? Jack Smith 2.0 you want to give us? And the controversial use of a 20% duty concession to acquire it. That issue is ongoing. Everett Warmington. No wonder where you see him now to try to defend the Prime Minister. You know? You understand? Him coming like that little hush puppy. Hush puppy Warmington. Even when the Prime Minister fire you, you have your little tail a wag round. Then you know no shame. No shame, you don't have no arm, Warmington. You're a disgrace to Jamaican people. Live in disgrace. Everett Warmington is infamous. Boorish behavior finally caught up with him. Last month, he became the JLP 8th casualty as he was forced to resign from the cabinet following public utterances about his intention to withhold public funds from an opposition People's National Party councillor in the St. Catherine Southwestern constituency who was victorious in the local government election. Over the years, who has failed to take action against Warmington. He can't take action against Warmington. You understand? If PSAJ never forced him and he wouldn't do it. It was a history of uncouth behavior. But the proverbial straw last month forced the Prime Minister, of course the Prime Minister was forced, to strip Warmington of his work portfolio. Ugly political record. It has been a wave of negatives for the Prime Minister. This is an ugly political record, Dr. Bourne said. Take that away. Talk to the people. Now, Jamaican people, it is quite serious as it relates to what is happening to our treasury. The longer the Jamaican Labour Party in power, our treasury is at risk. It is as plain and simple as that. The longer the Jamaican Labour Party in power, our treasury is at risk. Now, let us hear the hypocrite at his best. Let us hear the hypocrite at his best. Without any delay, let us pray it. Even with corruption. Okay. Let us hear the hypocrite at his best.
Really are going to talk about breaking corruption, then you have to insulate the decision makers. And it's not just the parliamentarians and the ministers or the public servants. You also have to insulate the political process. Because in our system, the political parties rely for funding on the people over whom their decisions will have an impact. And so things like the political campaign financing and the registration of political parties, those are important pieces of legislation to break that overhanging connection. So the challenge is the Jamaican public ready for this?
Is your government ready to do this?
So from how I've been speaking here to you today, you can see that I'm there already. The missing part of the link is to communicate this to the public, because this is a democracy. We're a liberal democracy. Me saying this now will spark an editorial or several letters to the press to mobilize public opinion against this. And I have to pay attention to these kinds of mobilization and get a sense as to where people are. Are they ready for this? Because that is the essence of democracy. And I always say that corruption is the flip side of inefficiency. Whenever a system is working well, there is someone who's always willing to say, I will pay more to go around the inefficiency. And once that is the case, then you enter into an economic arrangement. And in fact, what that does is that once people realize they can pay a toll to get around faster, there are those who want to keep the inefficiency in place so that people continue to pay
Talking
to
about
go
yourself,
around
man.
inefficiency. Now you have to stamp out that kind of corruption.
Huh?
Now, once you start to do that, change systems to make them more efficient, people automatically say, oh, you're going to take away my job. But aside from the investigation and prosecution, quite a bit of systems engineering is being done in terms of the business processes to see how we can merge systems together, right? To come up with shared services, to get rid of redundant services, right? To make the bureaucracy, the government's bureaucracy, far more efficient, to remove the various steps that are irrelevant in the business process. And we're going through that process, a whole process is going through. So we have pitched that as public sector reform, but a large part of that is to remove corruption.
People, when you sit and you listen to Andrew Holness talk all the talk that he wants to talk because he can talk, but never walk the walk. And so then you realize that this man, right, indeed is a hypocrite. This is not someone who you can take for his word. If Andrew wants to tell you to go left, please go right. I don't think Andrew Holness even believe himself. The way he's lie, he's a diabolical liar. So there he is, right? Knowing all what needs to be done in terms of fighting corruption, but yet, guess what? He's the one that installed Section 53, subsection 3 to muzzle the Integrity Commission. So them can't speak out on the corruption that he had involved with. You see the level of hypocrisy, right? Now, let us play, right? The level of hypocrisy as it relates to Andrew Holness' level of corruption. And remember, you know, what we have read previously, that previous document that we have read as it relates to all the corruption that been listed, right? If you notice, people, nothing about the illicit six, right, as they have been listed there. You know? So then you know that more corruption to come. And you have to remember that also the Integrity Commission sent 3 reports to Parliament. We don't know what are the contents of those reports, right? But Juliet Holness, right, knows the contents of the report. And as such, either she may have implicated, her husband may have been implicated, and thus she's finding all the reasons as what Andrew Holness just said, to go around the circles, right? Coming up with delayed tactics and all of that. But let me say this. If you allow this Andrew Holness to continue in power, we will never hear anything about the 6th. So Andrew Holness is asking the electorate of Jamaica. Andrew Holness is asking the electorate of Jamaica to go to the poll and vote for 6 criminals. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, people? The Prime Minister of Jamaica asking the electorate to go to the poll and vote for 6 criminals. These are people under investigation. These are people under investigation. And so then, I am going to play, of course, another clip that shows you the length and breadth of corruption where Andrew Holness and the JLP concerned. So let us lift up the other clip to also show that, right? And where this is a tough thing, you know, because we are going to touch the DPP next with Vybz Kartel. You understand? And get into the details of that. So let's just lift up this clip. Corruption.
Hello, I'm Damian Mitchell. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has rejected criticisms by opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips that he has led the most corrupt administration since 1962.
We find the evidence that what we have today in Jamaica is the most corrupt administration that has ever held office in the history of our country since independence.
Well, let me make the statement, backed up by facts, that the PNP is the most corrupt political organization in the Caribbean.
Meanwhile, speaking at the PNP's 80th annual conference at the National Arena yesterday, Dr. Phillips announced several policies he would implement if elected to form the next government. Among them, tuition-free education for the first child of every family attending university. The government has signed a contract with China Harbour Engineering Company to construct a new bypass for 3 miles in St. Andrews.
One sec, guys.
Okay. The original clip is coming up. Just an error there.
This one. Okay.
We find the evidence that what we have today in Jamaica is the most corrupt administration that has ever held office in the history of our country since independence.
What is this man talking about? Well, make me make the statement, backed up by facts, that the PNP is the most corrupt political organization in the Caribbean.
Pushing scandal.
If you go back to 1989, which is a long time ago, you would hear about the Rollins land deal scandal.
Police use car scandal.
If you go back to 1990, you remember the zinc scandal after Hurricane Gilbert.
FLA scandal.
You have the furniture scandal. Then you have the Shell waiver scandal.
$8 million phone bill scandal.
Then you have a big scandal in 1992 over the illegal importation of motor vehicles. Then in 1993, we hear some man buy US dollar out of the back of them car all over. Big scandal.
$9 million travel scandal at TPD. The government have more scandal in it than Riverton City have scandal back.
You hear about the corrupt distribution of land in Holland. You hear about the Operation Pride scandal. Then in 1997, you have the FinSac scandal.
And then we have this super scandal, the Petrotem scandal. That one have everything in it.
And then now you have the mother of all scandal, the traffic guru scandal. You remember that?
Friends of the government collecting money for travel, but not traveling.
The Montego Bay street people scandal. The fat cat salary scandal. You remember NetServe? Yes.
Friends of the government getting jobs at 3 times the pay than the previous occupants of the job had. While at the same time, long-serving, loyal, patriotic civil servants being fired from jobs.
Then you have the Sandals White House scandal. Then now, after that, you come up with the Cuban light bulb scandal. You remember that? You have the Hanover Parish Council scandal.
Friends of the government and activists for the JLP getting jobs in organizations for which they don't have qualification.
Then you have the Chick V scandal. Then you have the dead baby scandal. Then you have the bad gas scandal. Then you have now the parish council in a Manchester scandal.
Friends being awarded contracts by breaking the procurement rules, and some of those friends are the same people that turn up in the bushing scandal.
You remember Outer Many scandal? You remember EWI energy scandal?
Never in our history have we heard of a government entering into verbal contracts. No paper, no sign. Just word of mouth. $23 million. What madness is this going on in our country, Master?
You can't cuss me when you corrupt.
Thank God for the opposition in Parliament. Thank God for the PNAC and the PNP members and the PAAC.
We already know that in bad mind, him that likes the people prosper.
Yeah.
And now we know that him is nothing but a hypocrite. There will always be in every government, regardless of jurisdiction, people who breach the rule, people who use their power unjustly, unfairly, and unduly.
All right.
The mark of the good government is that when it is done, there is no cover-up. When we face our challenges, there is no one who could criticize this government to say that we were covering up corruption. No.
Okay.
The Jamaica Labour Party stands firmly against corruption, and we will put in place and have been putting in place the measures to address it.
All right. Yes. When it is done, right, we don't cover up corruption. We, Andrew Holness, put measures in place like Section 53, subsection 3 to deal with it. when it is done, we make sure the mechanism in place to handle that. Just like the mechanism in place to deal with the illicit six. Right? And this is the Andrew Holness that we are dealing with. Right? Now, we are going to move into why we are not getting justice in Jamaica. And for the next era that we are going to venture in, let me just speak to all the subscribers. We have a criminal justice system, right, where we have a DPP that anchor the prosecution wing of the criminal justice system. And we have seen that Jamaican people suffer as it relates to fairness in trial. And as it relates to justice delivered in a fair manner. And of course, we obviously see where a conviction as it relates to Vybz Kartel being forced upon Vybz Kartel and other persons who have been charged with Vybz Kartel. Why Byron said this? Now, I am not here, right, to say whether or not Vybz Kartel guilty or not guilty. That is not the basis of my discussion. The basis of my discussion is to say that we need a criminal justice system that works fairly for everyone, for the poor, for the middle class, and for the rich. Everyone in society supposed to get the service from the criminal justice system that they truly deserve. However, we have seen that more than 60% of Jamaican people, right, believe that the criminal justice system has not delivering such service when it comes to justice. Now, not that I am speaking as it relates to my subjective opinion, but I am speaking objectively as a result of research and document that I'm going to provide as it relates to persons who get into the street and have researched it. And so then we are going to speak as it relates to what we have observed, the behavior of the DPP, and not ordinary citizens. We are talking about citizens from the land and birth of Jamaica, right? Both in the academia world, right? Professional people who have spoken about the DPP behavior, inclusive of the DPP peers who criticize the DPP. So then internally, the DPP being criticized by her peers, being criticized by ordinary people, being criticized by many of us in the diaspora. And so then, evidently, what I'm saying is from an objective perspective. Now let us lift up this document, right, to prove what I am saying.
Okay.
Now let us read, my folks. Light and corruption, perception of corruption in the judiciary erodes public trust, just as I was speaking. Published Tuesday, June 20, 2017. Now, Delroy Chuck. A well-functioning justice system is central to effectively addressing corruption, which in turn is important for the development of a country. But judicial institutions are themselves corruptible, and thus all steps must be taken to combat corruption in this regard. The words of Montesquieu, that constant experience shows us that every man invested with power is apt to abuse it, are a noticeable reminder. Corruption and perception of corruption in the judiciary not only undermines the court's credibility as corruption fighter, but further erodes public trust in the court's impartiality. This harms or brings into question all the core judicial functions, such as law enforcement, dispute resolution, protection of property rights, and contract enforcement. Subsequently, it harms the broader accountability function that the judiciary is entrusted with in our democratic system. But most accounts, an effective judiciary undoubtedly guarantees fairness in legal processes, and thus is a powerful weapon against corruption. While there is broad consensus that corruption in the court system is destructive and should be addressed, there are particularly challenges involving fighting judicial corruption. Often when we talk about judicial corruption, the image that is that of judges taking bribes. However, judicial corruption is a lot more. It includes all forms of inappropriate influence that may damage the independence of justice and may involve any player within the justice system, including lawyers and administrative support staff. The questions of corruption is not only a matter of relations between judicial personnel and court users, it is also about internal relations in the judiciary. The perception of petty corruption in the judiciary is systemic. The perception of petty corruption in the judiciary is systemic and an issue that many in developing and developed countries have to deal with. In a global corruption report, 1 in 10 of the respondents who had been in contact with the judiciary over the past year, when asked whether they had paid a bribe, answered yes. The report noted that bribes offered by users of the legal system may take many forms, including illegal fees that court personnel levy to do what they should do anyway. Court users' pays just get to their case through the system to influence the outcome of a given case or to delay it. Bribes may be paid to the judge or to the assistant staff or lawyers to remove files or get the case assigned to a particular judge. Take this away. Now, since we are getting there and moving closer to Paula Llewellyn, now I'm going to play a clip. You understand? Show Paula Llewellyn peers personally critiquing Paula Llewellyn. Rensford, it doesn't seem like Jamaica is a criminal justice system. It's more like the criminal justice system. All right. Now let us look and Parliamentary peers, because we are putting this into a chronological sequence. Now, let us lift up this document. Okay. And hear what Parliamentary peers has to say about Parliamentary.
This evening, a battle is brewing between the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP Paula Llewellyn, and Senior Deputy DPP Cathy Pike. In a letter to the government, Ms. Pike not only called for a new DPP, but appealed for an investigation into the operations of the office.
But as Kelisha Williams reports, Ms. Llewellyn fired back, describing Ms. Pike as a bully who has always been bitterly resentful and upset that she is not the boss.
It's a clash between prosecutors. First, Senior DPP Cathy Pike sent a letter to the Prime Minister and the Justice Minister not to extend the tenure of DPP Paula Llewellyn and select a new DPP. She stressed that there is a plethora of problems plaguing her office which should be investigated. One, Ms. Pike said she and other prosecutors have concerns about the growth and validity of the office under Llewellyn's leadership. In fact, she said some prosecutors have expressed a lack of confidence in her leadership. Two, Ms. Pike indicated that under the office of the current director, the office has consistently lost some of the most gifted legal minds, and the attrition rate has never been as high as currently being experienced in the past 7 years in the history of the office. And she indicated that there are many persons seeking to leave. Three, she noted that of the 56 prosecutors employed to the office of the DPP, less than 50% have experience of 5 years and over. She noted in an era of trial readiness and case management, inexperienced prosecutors are being asked to represent the state's interest in complex and serious cases. She also cited the absence of the prosecutors from the DPP's office appearing before the UK-based Privy Council since 2008. Ms. Pike suggests the government conduct a poll to find out whether the members of staff are in support of Llewellyn's leadership. But hours after the letter dropped on Friday, another bombshell, which saw DPP Paula Llewellyn in defense mode. In a 6-page response, Ms. Llewellyn said although she's an experienced prosecutor, Ms. Pike has always been bitterly resentful, extremely upset, and expressed feelings of hurt and disrespect to me and other members of staff because she has not been placed to head a unit. Ms. Llewellyn noted that in her efforts to be fair, she has persevered with Pike and ignored her behavior. In another twist, Ms. Llewellyn said it is only she and other senior deputies who have been successful in not being target of her bullying and intimidation. As it relates to the DPP's office at the Privy Council, Ms. Llewellyn said the information as it relates to the representations in the Privy Council would never be revealed to Ms. Pike, as it would only be revealed on a need-to-know basis. She indicated that her HR director has advised that they will have to invite the Office of the Services Commission to conduct a full investigation into the unprofessional conduct of Ms. Pike, which has put the office into disrepute in order to rid the process of any semblance of bias and ascertain the truth concerning this matter. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Put it up there.
Yeah. And now, Angelians, I want the people to see what you have said there.
Twice.
I can't wait to hear say you get dirt. Right? And I am going to say, right, I don't know who you are referring that to, but what I can give you, right, I can give you an opportunity of that, to come and visit, right, Talk to me after the year if you want to get that opportunity, right? But you have to be brave. So if you think you need that opportunity, right? Yeah, don't stay behind your keys, right? I can give you that opportunity. If you feel free, I don't want to take that opportunity. Because one thing I can assure you, that this man have no fear. So let me say that to you. This man has no fear. And I can give you that opportunity.
The mentality of those who follow the
right. So if you want that opportunity, right, I can give that opportunity to you.
These are the people who support Andrew Holness.
Right? And so then don't worry about me. Now, let me move on. And your set of intimidation will not stop Mystic Sensation, but I will be coming out more outpouring. So said the man. Right? Because we will be more outpouring. We have to see the back of your criminal prime minister.
Keep them coming. Because I make sure I like them, and this is going to go where it's supposed to.
So we are going to fix your business, you know. We are going to fix your business, and we know how to fix your business. Now,
screenshot it again.
Yeah, just screenshot them. Screenshot them.
Andrew Holness supporters, this is what they're about. When you speak the truth.
So let us press on the gas. And look here, not you alone. Send out your minions them too. Right? Now, let us move into the criminal organization. Now, lift up this document. Grand Mystic Sensation Live, go ahead.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
You have to pay attention to the arrogance and the hypocrisy and the stupid people ever.
But you cannot take their threats lightly, you know, because you know how these people are.
You should take the threat lightly, but I'm just saying half of these people who are sending this threat behind computer, they wouldn't even flinch if they're in front of you.
True.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know,
I joined late, so I don't even know what the conversation was prior to this. Let me just join you. Your live.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, we are just sort of highlighting.
Based on how I read a while ago, I just go say over some stupid things.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So just stay tuned while we continue the program, and thank you for calling.
I see the headline. I just like what we see some of the scenario watch.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. All right.
No problem,
All right.
Blessings.
You.
Yeah. All right. Let us move on. Now you find this one, Brad.
Okay. 1 second.
The DPP is saying, regarding the constitutional powers, Paula Llewellyn asserts her authority as the Director of Public Prosecution DPP, highlighting her constitutional mandate to intervene in cases in the interest of justice. She refutes claims of breaching the Constitution, explaining that her office can step into any case at any given time, anywhere, regardless of previous prosecution or defense counsel's objection. Wow. Just wow. All right. So this is another statement from the DPP. The attorney.
That's one I took from your WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. So, and let me ask the question. As it relates to what the DPP said. the DPP said that she can insert herself in any case, and which is true, because the Constitution has given her that power. Now, but people, we all know in Jamaica that we have a case as it relates to Patrick Bailey, that the DPP has not inserted herself in. The DPP is saying to us that prosecutors and investigators need to work in collaboration to make a case successful. And I'm asking, then why the DPP don't work with the investigators as it relates to Patrick Bailey's case? Now, it might seem like, you know, we're hot for the DPP. But we are just questioning the simple facts as it relates to what we have seen and heard the DPP stated and what we know is constitutionally embedded. But yet, we have seen the DPP, I would say, conveniently utilizing the late tactics not to get involved in certain case when we all know that she can insert herself as what she said. So then that's why I play that clip to tell you that the DPP is fully knowledgeable of her responsibility, but yet fail to do that. Now, let us get down in the business where we're going to talk about Vybz Kartel. So let us hear the response as it relates to, right, lawyers, the defense lawyers.
It's 10 years for the accused, it's 4 years for us. We went to the Court of Appeal and lost in April of 20, I can't even remember, 4 years ago. 2020. And now we have been able to go to the Privy Council based on the reaction of the judges while the arguments were proceeding. We are confident that they were very upset about the jury point, that the judge allowed a juror who was allegedly trying to bribe the jury, allowed him to sit and continue to deliberate, that he sent them out 17 minutes to 4 after 64 days of trial. That was huge pressure on the jury. And the Director of Public Prosecution infused herself in its chambers and encouraged the judge to keep the juror who was allegedly bribing and to render a verdict with the bad apple. So this is a day for us to see whether it is right for a prosecutor, the chief prosecutor, to encourage a judge to keep a juror who has been bribing the others. So we're going to see what's going to happen today, whether justice will prevail, and there'll be a pronouncement on the wrongness of that. We're hoping that there will be no retrial, of course, that's one of the options, and we're hoping that they'll be free. I remind you that my client is Sean Campbell, none other, with Miss Bianca Samuels as his attorney. She's busy working there now, and we're looking for victory. Bert Samuels, Miss Linda Hudson, Miss Bianca Samuels, and Isaac Buchanan. He also represents Sean Campbell. I suspect that when the Privy Council comes into court this morning, they will not be deliberating for very long. The Court of Appeal usually just gives the decision that it has come to, and therefore the reasons for the decision we will not be able to know until we sit down and read them. There are three possible outcomes. One, that the appeal is dismissed and they continue to serve their sentence, which is off the table for us in terms of our expectations. Two is that they remit the matter down to Jamaica, to the Court of Appeal in Jamaica, to consider whether there should be a retrial or the men should be free. And the third and last is that they are free without any reservation. Of course, the last is what we're hoping for.
If the men are free, what happens next?
Okay, that's a good question. If the men are free by the court today, what happens next? The registrar in the Court of Privy Council has been and continues to be in direct communication with the registrar in the Court of Appeal in Jamaica. So one would expect that an email will be sent to the registrar giving the decision of the court. Once the registrar of the Jamaican Court of Appeal gets that decision, she's duty bound to notify the penal institution almost in real time, and they are to be released if it is that the court says they are to be released. Now, you may want to know that if they remain tonight without being released, if the court finds them that the verdict of not guilty should be entered and they should be free, once they're kept beyond tonight, it's going to be a civil action for the state must release the accused.
Okay. So the reason for me to play that document is just to give the background history, and that we all know that, of course, the conviction was quashed as it relates to Vybz Kartel and other persons who charged. Now, so we know that, okay, all right, based on the situation, right, they are going to have a retrial. And this is why I come back with this as it relates to a retrial, to make people understand as it relates to what we call, this is going to be very difficult in terms of the retrial, right? Now, when it comes to criminal case, we talk about the burden of proof, right? We're just going to discuss something, right? For lawyers who are involved in the case, they cannot speak like, oh, I am speaking, because I am not a lawyer, right? My degree in criminal justice, I'm not a lawyer. So I can speak freely, you understand, as it relates to being a concerned citizen and the little that I know about law. Now, when it comes to a criminal case, right, the burden of proof that needs to carry that case is proving the case beyond a reasonable doubt to convict Vybz Kartel. Now, one of the reasons why I'm talking about this is that in Vybz Kartel case, number one, there is no body. And people are, you know, speaking as it relates to the vice note. But I am going to show you that if the criminal justice system need to work properly and effectively and deal with fair trial, the evidence that used against Vybz Kartel, firstly, to cause a conviction, right, shouldn't have convicted him. Now I am going to show you a clip as it relates to the burden of proof and the explanation in that, to show you that the evidence that so-called used as it relates to vice note, so basically Vybz Kartel over vice note may have said, okay, all right, do this or do that or threaten or so forth or whatever Vybz Kartel had spoken over, you understand, a phone call, right? Is that enough to convict him? No, that is not enough to convict him. And let me show you, let me explain something to you. You have two situations in law before a crime can be committed. Two situations have to happen before a crime can be committed. One we call mens rea. Mens rea means the intent. Two, we talk about actus reus. the action has to execute. So if you have intent and you don't have action, then you can't come. There's no crime committed. So in Jamaica, just like the idiot on this live a while ago, right, may sound a threat like, right, and threaten you. Say, okay, all right, I'm going to shoot you, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And then if you, 2 days after, you got shot. Based on what he said, is not enough to convict him based on the burden of proof that you have to convict him into a criminal matter. So even though he threatened or publicly threatened me, and we know about the public threat, just like Vybz Kartel speaking over a phone and whatever phone records in whatever Vybz Kartel said. So people, I am going to play the video and let you see what I am saying when it comes to the burden of proof. Don't want you to sit back and listen keenly. So when time people say, okay, all right, we hear Vybz Kartel and the voice note saying this and then go do that and talk about true slaves and then talk about this and then talk about that. All I want to say is that enough to convict Vybz Kartel. And so then this is one of the reasons why I said that Parliamentary forced a conviction upon Kartel. Forced a conviction. So I want people to listen to this as it relates to the burden of proof. But they want to distract the message exactly. So listen to this. Listen, people, and look on the Vybz Kartel case.
And I'm here to talk to you today about beyond a reasonable doubt and what that means. You know, I've had other videos, and you can search for my other videos on YouTube or on my website about what beyond a reasonable doubt means. And in the state of Maine, we say that it means that the charges are almost certainly true, but I don't know that that quite goes far enough to explaining to a jury what that means. And I want to explain to you in my mind what that means. And one of the ways I do that is I have this chart that I use sometimes in trials. It's called a levels of proof chart. And one of the reasons for this is to compare this for a jury, compare reasonable doubt and beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury with other levels of proof and other types of cases that they might have heard about. For example, if you have no evidence in a case, no trace of evidence whatsoever, you have obviously a not guilty verdict. If you have a scintilla of evidence, if the jury believes that there might be a small amount of evidence that the defendant is guilty, then they must render a not guilty verdict. If the jury has reasonable suspicion that the defendant is guilty, meaning that not that the suspicion is based on a hunch, but that it's based on a particular set of facts, then they must render still a not guilty verdict. If the jury has probable cause to believe that the defendant is guilty, probable cause meaning reasonable and trustworthy information that a particular person has committed the crime charged, they must render a not guilty verdict. If they believe if the jury believes by a preponderance of the evidence that the defendant is guilty, then they must render a not guilty verdict. The preponderance of the evidence is the scales of justice you see a lot. So if they believe the scales tip towards the government, then they must render a not guilty verdict. If the jury believes by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant is guilty, meaning that the jury has a firm belief that the allegations against the defendant are true, they still have to render a not guilty verdict. And if there is reasonable doubt, again, they must render a not guilty verdict. It is only getting beyond a reasonable doubt to the top of, in this case, a staircase, that they can render a guilty verdict. And that's very important for a jury to understand. So one of the jobs of the defense lawyer is to try to explain to a jury just how important their job is, and that part of their job is to properly apply the reasonable doubt standard. If you have any questions for me about this, or would like to discuss this or any other matter with myself or the lawyers who work for me at Zarrillo Law LLC, please feel free to contact us by phone, 207-34.
Okay. So we all hear that. So then, if just by Vybz Kartel spoke over his phone, and they have, okay, the information that Vybz Kartel was planning to do this to Lizard, to do that to Lizard, and is it sufficient enough, right, that the DPP, depending on those evidence, is it sufficient enough to find Vybz Kartel guilty? You heard what the lawyer said there. It is not sufficient enough to find Vybz Kartel guilty. You have to go beyond a reasonable doubt. That means there should be no doubt whatsoever. So what that lawyer is explaining, that if you have one slice of doubt, so if you have 99.9 and that 1% doubt is there, Vybz Kartel, the jury must say not guilty. Not guilty. So then when you look at Vybz Kartel case as it relates to what they have, they don't have body. They don't have the weapon that's used to so-called create the number 3. But scenarios, circumstantial scenarios, as it relates to what they cooked up and forced upon them. While if Parliamentary is going to apply beyond a reasonable doubt, the method beyond a reasonable doubt, then they wouldn't have found guilty in the first place. They wouldn't have. As it relates to so many things that went wrong. So many things that went wrong, you know. Remember, what beyond a reasonable doubt is, you know, you cannot have the slightest doubt. Remember the level of steps that's shown that even if, okay, all right, you have the phone calls, what Vybz Kartel say, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes. And you have a reasonable belief, say, yeah, it must number 3 Lizard because him say it on the phone, yeah, and we hear him say it. You understand? But has anyone seen Vybz Kartel carrying out the act? No. Is there any evidence of Vybz Kartel carrying out the act? No. So then when we are talking about proof beyond a reasonable doubt, did Paula Llewellyn prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt? What are the evidence that Paula Llewellyn used to convict Vybz Kartel? Nobody present. There's no number 3 weapon. No one see Vybz Kartel committing the act. And so then, even although the Privy Council clearly rule on the fact that you have a corrupt jury, a poison fruit doctrine, but when you look on the evidence that's used to convict Vybz Kartel, let us be clear with all ourselves. And that's why I goes to the burden of proof. it takes and what it means. And so then jury who utilizing that, right, as it relates to the burden of proof, did Paula Llewellyn meet the burden of proof to convict? Right? Now you have seen a system where Paula Llewellyn himself admitted that there are cases that she has dealt with cases, more cases before as it relates to juror tampering that came out of the mouth of Paula Llewellyn. That she has dealt with it before. This is not the first case as it relates to jury tampering. And so then, what I want to know, what was the recommendation in those cases that Paula had given to the judge, as opposed in Vybz Kartel case? Right? And so then, when we look at this, that when it comes to the burden of proof that needs to find someone guilty as it relates to a criminal matter, it has to go beyond a reasonable doubt. You cannot use reasonable doubt. You cannot use the preponderance of guilt. As a matter of fact, the preponderance of guilt only used in civil matter. Right? And with all of the steps, you have to utilize the highest burden of proof, the highest weight of evidence to convict them. Simply means that there is no doubt. Now, so let us talk to our people in a very fair way now. Now, when you look at Patrick Bailey case, we are talking about Vybz Kartel case. Applying the burden of proof in Vybz Kartel case. Remember, you're not going to have lawyers, any lawyer, right? Because it would be unprofessional for any lawyer come on social media who is a part of the case discussing the case. So no lawyer who, right, are going to be actively participating into the potential trial, if you're going to have one, should be on social media talking about such case. That would be unprofessional. We as bloggers, we can speak. Right? And we are critiquing the system constructively as it relates to the burden of proof. You understand? That is going to apply in a criminal matter. So as we said, that let us look at the burden of proof. If Paula Llewellyn met the burden of proof as it relates to Vybz Kartel case, for me, and objectively, no. Now let us look in Patrick Bailey's case. In Patrick Bailey's case, Patrick Bailey locked into a confined space in his house where a body being established. Number 3. Wounds inflicted from knife and from a gun. What about the ballistic test that was done, right, to see if there's any match to any particular weapon that might be owned by Patrick Bailey? We don't hear none of that. We don't hear none of that. Remember, a bullet, the body has a bullet wound. Right? Now, was the bullet extracted from the body where a ballistic test can be done to find out whether or not this bullet come from a gun that registered to Patrick Bailey? no investigation in the matter. Come on now. Come on now. Let us talk, people. Let us talk. Let us reason. We are reasoning. Patrick Bailey has not been charged, but treated like a Teflon Don. People, I want you to look. While a dead man laid in his house, under his roof, in his dwelling place, several wounds to the man's body, and Patrick Bailey in close proximity hasn't heard anything as he was fast asleep. What people need to look careful on, that there was no tampering as it relates to anyone going in or going out. So what sort of investigation done? In that particular case, you have body. In that particular case, you have a weapon. In that particular case, you have a person within the perimeters of the crime scene, within the perimeters of the crime scene. What sort of interrogation had taken place? And so then the system itself, as we're talking about the systemic corruption, lay flat. As if there's no DPP in Jamaica, as if there's no investigator in Jamaica, but a case and Patrick Bailey still exists as a Teflon Don. And so then these are the corruptions that we highlighted. So for those who want to have the concept that Paula Llewellyn is a quite professional person, right? When we look on the burden of proof that Paula needs to have in convicting Vybz Kartel, let us argue it. People go on YouTube, right? Type in burden of proof, beyond a reasonable doubt, right? Read upon it. All Jamaicans, read upon it. And when you look in Vybz Kartel case as it relates to the evidence that's used, the strongest evidence that the DPP have are vice note evidence. Vice note evidence. So then, let me ask, is it that any man would threaten any man, all of those persons end up dead? And all those persons who give those threats end up kill those persons? So when you look at that, how can you have that as your strongest evidence to convict Vybz Kartel when you know very well that the burden of proof it required to convict Vybz Kartel is beyond a reasonable doubt? I want any persons to argue with me on this. Argue with me on that. As it relates to the burden of proof that it will take. So yes, a vice note exists. With Vybz Kartel saying this, Vybz Kartel saying that, making arts out of this and making arts out of that. Is that meet the burden of proof to convict Vybz Kartel? Does that meet the burden of proof to convict Vybz Kartel? Vice note. Then what sort of burden of proof it needed as it relates to Patrick Bailey? What sort of burden of proof? So then why it appears as if justice should apply when it comes to the suffering set of people. But when it comes to the elite and their friends, there's no justice for them. Now, my Jamaican people, I want to share with you a clip. And when I came up on this video, right, recharge, meditation, and prayer, tainted jury, poison the whole grapes, exactly. Right? That is the poison fruit doctrine. Now, I am going to play a clip for all of us to really listen to what is taking place. And this is a recent development that came out of Russia. And when I said that all black people must be proud of themselves. Must be proud of themselves because of who we are. And so then, even the Vatican, let me say it, even the Vatican is now concerned that certain literature regarding Jesus, as it was told that Jesus was white, right? I want people to listen this, see it for themselves, because even the Vatican got involved, and they are now deciding to divert from the lesson that once was taught. And this is for every black man to listen to this video, take in this video. Without any further ado, play this video.
Okay.
All black men need to be proud of themselves.
Have you ever seen or heard of biblical icons where Jesus or the Virgin Mary have dark skin, or even Abraham or King David? Then look beyond Europe. Russia has opened its vaults to reveal biblical icons featuring darker-skinned figures. In case this is making you wonder if Russia has its own twist on biblical figures, the answer is a no. This is not the case at all. This is a matter of fact as real as the untouched horizon.
Was it really God's wish to kill Abraham's elder son? Why Isaac needed to be punished by God if he did not harm
Horizon of time. These icons aren't just artistic anomalies. These hold deep meanings of hidden shaded truths, sparking serious, curious questions about history and faith, representation, and the unexpected corners of religious art. Pay close attention, amazing people. You are just about to hear it today, like it is, in this video. Before we continue, kindly endeavor to hit that like button as a way of supporting our works. Share with your families and friends to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative, and subscribe to Stay Put for more, while you help in building the rising membership of this channel. We appreciate your support. First and foremost, let's start with the person of the most popular name in the world today, Jesus. Mark chapter 4 verse 22. For there is nothing hidden which shall not be manifested, neither anything kept secret that would not be brought to light. For centuries, the most common image of Jesus Christ, at least in Western cultures, has been that of a bearded, fair-skinned man with long, wavy, light brown or blonde hair and often blue eyes. But the Bible doesn't describe Jesus physically, and all the evidence we do have today indicates that he probably looked very well different from how he has long been portrayed. The Good Book offers few clues about Christ's physical appearance. Most of what we know about Jesus comes from the first 4 books of the New Testament, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. According to the Gospels, Jesus was a Jewish man born in Bethlehem and raised in the town of Nazareth in Galilee, formerly Palestine, now northern Israel, during the 1st century. We know that Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his ministry. So tells us the Bible book of Luke chapter 3 verses 23. But the Bible tells us virtually nothing about what he looked like, except that he didn't stand out in any particular way. The historical Jesus likely had the brown eyes and skin of other 1st century Jews from Galilee, a region in biblical Israel. But no one knows exactly what Jesus looked like. There are no known images of Jesus from his lifetime. And while the Old Testament kings Saul and David are explicitly called tall and handsome in the Bible, there is little indication of Jesus' appearance in the Old or New Testaments. In addition, when Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane before the crucifixion, Judas Iscariot had to point Jesus out to his soldiers among the disciples, presumably because they all appeared similar to one another. But the words of the Bible in itself did not hint on the reasons behind their similarities. Whether they were white or black, or why or how they looked too similar, it did not tell. Considering these events, one is made to actually wonder, were these words deliberately expunged from the Bible to hide certain glaring truths, or did the writers of the good book of the Gospel fail to discuss these things? However, the portrayal of Jesus as a white European man has come under renewed scrutiny during this period of introspection over the legacy of racism in society, and over the actuality of truth. One of the major factors of this renewed scrutiny happens to come with the buzzing news concerning certain storming revelations from Russia. For some time now, the recentness of this event has got everyone talking in wonderment.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided to move one of Russia's holiest icons from a museum to a Moscow cathedral. This arises a debate around Putin's growing reliance on the church.
Emphasizing on the importance of the holy icon, Putin ordered Andrei Rublev's Trinity be transferred to the Russian Orthodox Church from Moscow's Tretyakov Gallery for a year. The relocation of Russia's most well-known icon highlights how closely the war has intertwined politics and religion. The icon depicts the oak of Mamre, where the 3 angels visited Abraham in the book of Genesis.
Did you notice anything about these icons on display? They are all black. Icons dating back to the 14th century, brought together from private collections across Russia. Rare and strongly challenging masterpieces, most of which were destroyed during the Soviet era.
It's very beautiful. It gives you goose pimples. It's a remarkable exhibition.
It's an exhibition which feeds the senses. Everything is so grey outside at the moment, and here suddenly it's a feast for the eyes.
These icons that you see are the survivors of what is left. Had the museums not saved them, they wouldn't be existing today. There used to be millions of these icons, but now only 50,000 of them are within sight. The unveiling of these icons is a powerful testament to the enduring strength of truth. The authenticity of these paintings compels us to re-evaluate our understanding of the past, particularly regarding the presence and representation of black figures. For centuries, these figures may have been shrouded in obscurity, but their rediscovery sheds light on previously untold stories, standing as a challenge to long-held assumptions, prompting us to rewrite history with a more inclusive lens. Many Russian icons were destroyed or sold abroad by agents of the Soviet government. Some were hidden.
Drinking warm water before bed resets blood sugar levels and reverses type 2. Thousands of people
to avoid destruction or were smuggled out of the country. Since the fall of communism, numbers of icon painting studios have again opened and are painting in a variety of styles for the local and international market. Many older, hidden icons have also been retrieved from hiding or brought back from overseas.
The Castel San Angelo in Rome is currently hosting an exhibition of 40 Russian icons that have left their country for the first time. They are pieces of art that were hidden after the October Revolution of 1917 in order to protect them from anti-religious destruction.
It's the first time that a large number of Russian icons have come here to Italy. In addition, here are a dozen examples that have never before been moved. They appear for the first time in our catalog.
Icons are usually painted on wood and meant to represent saints or sacred elements. The Orthodox tradition considers them as if they were the gospel, inspirations of God through the hand of the artist. Their deep symbolism is reflected from the meaning of icon as a representation or vision from another world. The wood evokes the Holy Cross through its gold background, divine light, and the cloth attached to the wood evokes the cloth that covered the body of Jesus Christ.
Without a doubt, they have a great importance and a fundamental recognition in Russia, because the icons represent for Russia what the pyramids represent for Egypt, or the temples to the Greeks.
The exhibition shows icons ranging from the 15th century until the early 20th century. It's a rare opportunity to see the religious soul of Russia through its...
There's been so much debate going on around the world of late, bestirred by the unveiling of these black biblical icons. Some tend to think that the icons had blackened over time due to age, while others say that the blackness of the icons has nothing to do with age but are a measure of accuracy meant to depict the actual color of the skins of the people painted. Because they were black people, says Robert Rubin. Why didn't their clothes change to black in those paintings or all of the paintings? The true Israelis were black-skinned people, not white. Likewise, the ancient Egyptians. The Reshet structure in Mauritania is also the location of Atlantis. Russians did not change their paintings just as other countries did. They simply kept the true paintings and iconography. Look up ancient maps and you will see that the Kingdom of Judah was later located in West Africa. The Jewish nation was destroyed by Titus. Millions of Jews fled into Africa. They ended up in the west of Africa. From there, they were sold as slaves to almost every part of the world. Do you think the hatred for black people is just normal or a coincidence? No. It was because they, Israelis, did not keep the commandments of God. Moses informed them of the blessings and curses, as we can see in the Bible book of Deuteronomy. God told them they will lose that land to people whom they did not know if they disobey him. The hatred for the black children of Ham and Shem is because the children of Shem have mixed up with the children of Ham. They are both black-skinned. The prime target of this hate is actually the children of Shem. Shem is being punished for his disobedience to his God. Another insightful one from Johnson here says, because black people were the people in the Bible that the Americans turned white when they told the stories to us. But Russians didn't get the memo. They went off for real history. Songs of Solomon. Chapter 1 verse 5. Revelations chapter 1 verse 15. Go check it out. It's in the text. It's not because of a candle or anything else these people are talking about. In that case, the whole picture would be black, not just the face and the hands. They are meant to be black because they were black people. This great USA is also a great deceiver. And so many people inherit the wrong lesson from their great-grandparents and their parents, to the point where it's so deep that the lie is made true when the real answer is really just right there. But you never look, because why would you? The Russian unveilings didn't stop there. Russia continues with its biblical historical revelations, with President Putin at the foremost front, championing the course. Russia has opened its cellars to reveal remarkable paintings of Jesus dating back to the 1400s.
By Father Vladimir Ivanov. This is a book that is highly coveted by different circles because it has the black icons. It has the history of black people in places like Russia and Italy, in places all over Europe. This book can range from $1,300 to $3,000. So it's not an easy book to get. I actually borrowed this book from a friend, But this book has a lot of interesting depictions in it. A lot of them pertaining to the Bible. Like right here, this is the Transfiguration of Christ. And you see it's black people in caves, I believe, what it looks like. It's black people in the whole picture, but this is knowledge that escapes black people here in America. It's definitely something that we would never see or never hear about in the educational system. Now, I'm pretty sure there's people that are black history college students majoring in black history or world history, and they've never seen nothing like this before. At least not from the standpoint of Europe, This is the crucifixion of Christ, and in it we see angels black angels. The people surrounding him are black. It's very interesting because the images that we see are contrary to what we have known our whole lives, or what we have been taught our whole lives. Like I'll say it again, like these type of images of antiquity escaped black people here in America, and I can say all people, for in general, just people in general don't know. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Caucasian people and people of all nationalities that don't know the extent that black people covered the earth. And in many cases, like here, like what you see, we're in rulership position. Like this looks like a king.
The images of Jesus and other historical figures in Russia's black icons challenge the commonly known perception of antiquity and reveal the extent of black people's presence and influence throughout history. Paintings from the 1500s and 1600s depicting black icons, including Jesus and Mary, in a highly sought-after book that explores the history of black people in Russia, Italy, and other parts of Europe. The book contains interesting depictions of black people in biblical scenes, which is knowledge that is not taught in the American educational system. However, debates concerning the authenticity of these icons goes on. And Alex Pismeni, a software developer and Catholic Christian, has some things to contribute. The Russian Christians adopted Byzantine Orthodoxy wholesale. That, of course, includes the iconography. The fundamental principle of Orthodox iconography is no changes. The icons are, as much as possible, portraits of Christ, Our Lady, and other saints. Further, the styling, mood, garments, gestures are all fixed in the Byzantine style, so much so that students of iconography refer to these rules as iconographical canon, even though very little of that canon ever went through the normal ecclesial legislative process involving episcopacy and councils. Going forward, while Russia continues to amaze the world in this light, the unquenchable fire of truth persists through the darkness of history. Not so long, protesters had called for the removal of Confederate statues in the US. Activist Sean King went further, suggesting that murals and artwork depicting white Jesus should come down. His concerns about the depiction of Christ and how it is used to uphold notions of white supremacy are not isolated. Prominent scholars and the Archbishop of Canterbury have called to reconsider Jesus's portrayal as a white man. Only recently, on June 22, 2020, writer and activist Sean King announced that he supports the destruction of statues that depict a white Jesus. King, who had tweeted his remarks on that memorable Monday of 2022 June, noted that historians believe Jesus likely had the appearance of people who typically lived in the Middle East during his time, rather than the white man who is often depicted in Christian iconography. Yes, I think the statues of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down, King tweeted. They are a form of white supremacy, always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark, he added. Tear them down. The comments quickly drew condemnation from some on the platform, including several prominent conservative figures. King clarified that he was only advocating that statues of a white Jesus be torn down in response to a tweet from the account of PragerU, a non-profit co-founded by conservative talk show host Dennis Prager. He also remarked that stained glass windows and other images of a white Jesus, his white mother and their white friends should all be destroyed, insisting they are racist propaganda and a gross form of white supremacy. King shared an image of a darker-skinned Jesus that appeared in a 2002 Popular Mechanics article, which scholars believe may be more accurate than those showing Jesus as a European. He commented that the image would have been intolerable for white Americans who participated in slavery. Experts have long since said that this is likely the most accurate depiction of Jesus. White Americans who bought, sold, traded, raped, and worked Africans to death for hundreds of years in this country simply could not have this man at the center of their faith. Sean King further tweets, June 23, 2020, a day after he had tweeted his support for the destruction of all white-statued Jesus. A tweet by Jenna Ellis, a lawyer representing President Donald Trump, warned that she would not break if they try to cancel Christianity, although it's unclear if it was in direct response to King's tweet. Regardless, King responded that what the lawyer was actually defending here is her whiteness. Christian whiteness needs white Jesus, King tweeted to Ellis. It's not about generosity or kindness. It's not about protecting the vulnerable. It's about whiteness itself. Attack white Jesus to her, and you attack her faith. Statues have been torn down and destroyed amid ongoing protests against racial injustice and police brutality that have swept the nation these recent years, counting from 2020. Although statues and monuments paying tribute to the Confederacy have been primarily targeted, statues of other figures from early American history have also been taken down. The movement to take down and deface controversial statues has gained traction in the UK, as well as Europe and the US, but has divided public opinion, with critics slamming it as mob rule, while others applaud it as a way of addressing systemic racism.
Sometimes, the only thing more difficult than running a business.
Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury and head of the Church of England, has said the Church should reconsider its portrayal of Jesus as a white man. Speaking to the BBC Today programme, Welby was asked whether the way the Western Church portrays Jesus needed to be thought about again and reimagined. Yes, of course it does, he said, adding that Jesus was portrayed differently in countries around the world. He was regularly in touch with Anglican church leaders from around the world, he said, who did not portray Jesus as white. You go into their churches and you don't see a white Jesus, you see a black Jesus or Chinese Jesus or a Middle Eastern Jesus, which is of course the most accurate. Welby added that the representations of Jesus were not, however, who we worship, but rather served as a reminder of the universality of God who became fully human. Addressing calls for monuments with links to the UK's imperialist history and slave trade to be removed, he said statues in Canterbury Cathedral would be put under review. The question about whether they should all be there arises, of course it does, and we've seen that all over the world. He continued, we're going to be looking very carefully and putting them in context and seeing if they all should be there, says Justin Welby. In closing, the unveiling of these black icons serves as a powerful reminder that history is often shrouded in darkness, but truth has a way of shining through. These artifacts compel us to re-examine our understanding of the past and challenge long-held narratives. If their authenticity is confirmed, the paintings offer a glimpse into a previously unknown facet of history, forcing us to confront the complexities of representation. This discovery stands as a testament to the enduring power of truth, shattering the towers of misinformation and prompting a re-evaluation of the stories we tell ourselves about the past. That brings us to the end of yet another video segment. Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. We are always happy to pick from them. Support our works by always hitting that like button in front of you. Share with your friends and families to keep spreading our...
All right. So folks, that is something that I just desirous of sharing as it relates to, we just, acknowledge the strength in us, right, as Black people, that we are, we are great, right? I mean, what one has to understand is that we are all created by God, black, white, pink, purple, green, or whatever color you are. And I just want to say that we are equally created. And so then here on earth, whether you're black, white, we are all brothers and sisters created equally. So it's all about, respecting every human being, right? And knowing that every human being, you understand, created by the Creator, and every human being ought to be, respected and be treated with a sense of fairness, right? Whether you want to be white, whether you want to be black, Chinese, Indian, we are all one. One love throughout the world, right? So that is my message tonight as it relates to saying that, right? We need to care for our brothers and sisters, whether you're black, white, pink, or purple. All right. Well, tonight is not my regular Friday night. And so then Friday is where we have the energy turn up. But I wanted to just come out in the middle of the week to you know, 1 and 2 clips since persons have been asking for us, you understand, to give another day. But Friday coming, of course, where we have the full-blown of Mystic Sensation and, of course, Jeopardy will definitely be Friday coming. So, my subscribers, right, please tune in to us Friday, right, because Friday is our original time and place. And we have more topics to discuss on a Friday, right? And of course, we're going to continue, right, to be a beacon of light, continue to be a checks and balance where good governance is concerned, right? Here we discuss, it's not a sense of die-heartedness, but what we see unfolding with our current government, right, present a clear danger for all of us when it comes to the level of corruption. And so then we have to call it out. We need to first be a Jamaican than be PNP or GLP. So what we are defending here, we are defending country, right? We are defending country, right? Through the essence of course, democratic socialism, right? When we believe in equal opportunity must be spread fairly throughout the length and breadth of Jamaica. A government that can create such opportunity. We do believe that Mark Golden, right, is a man of integrity. Mark Golden is a strong leader, in spite of what some narratives saying as it relates to him not being projecting forcefully. But we know that Mark Golden, of all members of Parliament, and this is something that I need to say, of all the members of Parliament, Mark Golden is such a member of Parliament that work on most legislations. So people, let us get it and think what I'm saying. Mark Golden, right, from once he ventured into the politics, he identified the weaknesses of the politics. He identified the vulnerabilities. And then what did he do? He worked on the Integrity Commission Act. Now, I am asking a question here. That Mark Golden didn't have to come into politics. And I want Jamaican people to have an understanding of what I'm saying. Mark Golden was a successful businessman. Didn't have to take on politics. But although Mark Golden, being successful, realized that his greater call is not to help himself being a successful businessman, but to take on the plight of the Jamaican people. And as such, venture into the politics. And as such, find ways and means to strengthen what we call good governance. Integrity Commission Act. Mark Golden did not stop there. Mark Golden went on, realized that the time that we are going to take for an election, for an election to get rid of a particular corrupt politician, let us create an impeachment bill. Let us create an impeachment bill so that the Jamaican electorate doesn't have to wait an election to vote out someone. But if someone breach ethical principles, that impeachment act bill that would have made into law would now utilize to get him or her out of the political process as a result of corruption. What I can't understand is that for some Jamaicans who support Jamaican Labour Party, saying to themselves, okay, all right, I'm a supporter of Jamaican Labour Party. But what my Prime Minister is doing, what the Prime Minister is doing in terms of unable to have its statutory declaration certified. Ask yourself the question, is it good governance? Or you just want to continue to play the politics? I mean, the PNP when it veto. Why are you talking about PNP was doing it, this and that? PNP is not the government in power. When Andrew Holness was campaigning to be the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness would have identified all the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities of the People's National Party and promised that he can do better. Here is the people. Okay. Right? I am not saying that the PNP has no corruption. I couldn't be saying that. But what I'm saying, that let us look, let us compare and analyze the data as it relates to Andrew Holness' government in comparison to other government, as it relates to corruption. This government is the most corrupted government. Let us look into the past as it relates to where you have series of members of parliament dipping their hands in the treasury, no checks and balance. Look at the situation with Rural Reid, as if the system itself want to discreetly deal with Rural Reid without the Jamaican citizen have an understanding of what is happening. This is a government that lacks transparency. Andrew Holness once said that if the Jamaican people have any understanding that their government is failing them, they should talk out against the government. Andrew Holness said that. Andrew Holness said that. How does it look? Have we seen this anywhere in the Caribbean? Where, let us look in some of the worst places of the Caribbean. Let us look in El Salvador. Let us look in Costa Rica. Let us look in Haiti, some of the worst places in the Caribbean. Have we seen the Prime Minister, who definitely under an investigation where the Prime Minister wife sits in Parliament as the Speaker of the House. And it goes further than that. Not only that she sits as the Speaker of the House, but she sits on the oversight committee of the Integrity Commission. So are you saying that, okay, if Juliet Holness involved in any corruption, Juliet Holness is having oversight over our own corruption? People, Jamaican people, I am asking, is that what we want? Right? We don't know if Juliet Holness is a part of the 6. Right? But we know, as it relates to allegation of malpractices, as it relates to her building that she's building at least flat, as it relates to permit issues, as it relates to building codes, right? And then when you look now, her husband, the Prime Minister, has NEPA in his office. Does that look good to us as a Jamaican people? And if the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, cannot see that this is an ethical issue, then something wrong with the Prime Minister. If the Prime Minister can't have an introspection, to say, let me set the example as a Prime Minister, myself under an investigation. And so then, by that, as it relates to ethical principle, my wife should not be the Speaker of the House. No, I am not against Andrew Holness' wife being the Speaker of the House. But where you have an investigation into the Prime Minister, then by any moral principle, the Prime Minister should have known that his wife should not be the Speaker of the House. People, what I want to ask you, that if Andrew Holness, when he gets up in the morning and look in the mirror and cannot say to himself that that is wrong, that is a fundamental wrong, then that is an injustice that is delivering to the Jamaican people. And if Andrew Holness cannot see this, people, it tells you the type of person we are dealing with. It's simply straightforward. If Andrew Holness cannot say to himself that this is morally and ethically wrong, for me not having my statutory declaration certified and coming March 31st, the possibility of the third one is not going to be certified. But Mystic Sensation is here, waiting, Because when March 31st come, I am going to see what is going to happen. It is going to be more pressure. So all who want to threaten me, and all who want hope for me to be dirt, well, I am not going to stop and speak. Because coming March 31st, we are going to rub that in the Prime Minister's face. And the Prime Minister can never have those situations hanging over his head and expect that he is going to win a general election. Andrew Holness, I can tell you plain, take it off of your mind. You take that off your mind. You talking about a third term, you take that off your mind. And it better you try to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself to deal with the criminal justice system. The time you preparing for a general election, you should consider preparing to deal with the criminal justice system. Because we here on social media is not going to stop from digging as it relates to checks and balance. And let me say this to the person who claimed that he can intimidate me. This platform is not only ensuring that Andrew Holness lose election, but this platform is ensuring that corruption must be processed through the judicial. Right? And investigation must in pursuit. Because don't believe that you're going to deal with SSL and believe that you have them and those who can just pick up a report and that's all. Because you have a DPP who is not inserting herself into SSL, even although she articulates her powers where the Constitution had given her, knowing that she can insert herself in any case, as according to her, as she likes to flout it. But when it comes to actually getting the job done, it's delayed tactics and waiting for statute of limitation to activate. That is the pattern that we have seen. And so then when we have a DPP as a weakling, a DPP that seems to be highly compromised, and so then the rails of justice fallen. No one to protect the rails of justice. And so then here you have a government that ought to become rogue. Simple as that. Where even today and what displayed in the Parliament as it relates to Mark Golden in pursuit of checks and balance and encouraging the Prime Minister to have an introspection, to look into himself and take a leadership role in terms of taking away yourself and deal with your corruption. Have it clarified. Now, if there was nothing wrong, Mr. Andrew Holness, if there was nothing wrong, then why the effort being utilized to muzzle the Integrity Commission? What is the reason? And let us move beyond the Integrity Commission and speak about SOPs that established within Parliament as it relates to the trafficking of reports, as it relates to investigation. So when the Integrity Commission completed an investigation, right, it goes to the director of public prosecution, the corruption prosecutor. It goes to the corruption prosecutor. The corruption prosecutor look over what she has, and if she feel the need to consult the DPP, she can consult the DPP. However, if she doesn't see the need to consult the DPP, she can make a determination on the case. But per policy, send it down to Parliament. Parliament review such report. Upon their completion, this report would now be tabled. This is the history of how Parliament deals with report, the culture, the SOP, standard operating procedures. Then why, Mistress Holness, what you have to hide? That the report, 3 reports, sent to the Parliament. 3 reports. So let me ask, when are we going to get that report? Or let me correctly phrase that. How long the Parliament is going to take to table those reports? So then let me ask you, Mrs. Holness, are you intend to hold those reports indefinitely? Because this now starts to feel like a dictatorship building up on the Jamaican people. This now starts to feel like something wrong with this. Where Andrew Holness is going with this. Because this seems to me now like Andrew Holness now have a plan, because he has 48 strong in Parliament and he now can go in with his 48 and literally rape the Constitution by amending constitutional laws and changing constitutional norms. So it seems as if Andrew Holness' plan, okay, I cannot verify my statutory declaration. There's no way for me to get out of this. And so then the only way for me to get out of this is to burn down the entire Jamaica in hiding my wrongs. So what I will do now is use my 48 members to corrupt the system. The Jamaican people will not hear who are the 6 members of Parliament under the microscope for illicit enrichment. And Jamaica, you don't want to wake up? And Jamaica criticizing also Haiti. That's why Haiti is not sitting down and taking it. Haiti is revolting against corrupted government. And that is the objective of Haiti. Revolting against corrupted government. But Jamaica never know. And the history goes to bear freedom take place in Haiti. The first place freedom take place in the Caribbean, Haiti, because they fight for freedom and show Jamaica how to fight for freedom. Now we see Andrew Holness making moves to send our brothers and sisters to fight against our brothers and sisters in Haiti. On behalf of who? Neo-colonialists who caused Haiti's situation. France that rob billions of dollars from Haiti. France, why don't they send soldiers down to Haiti? But no, we have the fools and we have the corrupted people to do our work for us, because we know that they love their bellies and we know that they're easy to sell out their people. So let us use the Jamaican government to do that. He doesn't understand the history. Who are we fighting against when we go to Haiti? Who are we fighting against? What is the objective? What is the objective? What is the primary objective in going to Haiti? Are we going there as peacekeepers? Are we going there as peacekeepers? No. Andrew Holness will do everything to sell out Jamaican people for his own personal self-interest. Not for Jamaican people. Not for Jamaican people. If Andrew Holness wasn't selling out Jamaican people for his own personal interests, he wouldn't have a stone wall that can also build a mini housing scheme. And cannot explain his wealth. Cannot explain his wealth. If they weren't selling out Jamaican people, Nigel Clark wouldn't remove the levy from the backside. He won't have. And so then, Nigel Clark, along with the neo-colonialists, along with POJ, okay, everything nice, we are running things, money and make. And so then, for the poor people who used to have their trucks, we heard that members of parliament trucks replaced those trucks. Because they know of the haulage contract. Can you imagine? And Jamaican people, some dunce and illiterate people like the one who just run up in my chat. Some baboons. Some bagawaya. Now when you look at all these atrocities that this government is causing the black people, is causing Jamaican people. When you look at what happened today and the double down of corruption, knowing to the fact that what Mark Golden was speaking about is facts, but they don't want to hear it because they want to continue in their wrongdoing. Continue with their corruption is to tell the Jamaican people the sort of evil that we are dealing with. 100% pure evil. And this is no joke. And so then, Jamaican people, I am saying that we are in the final 100-meter stretch for the general election. And every day until now, the general election, Andrew Holness, I can tell you that the Mystic Sensation channel will be joking you every day. We'll be joking you with the facts. We'll be doing the research and show our people and to educate our people. We have the time to work on our mission because we must get you out of government. You are corrupt to the core. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where I am going to say thank you for passing through. Megawatt Volt, low blow. I never knew that it was a boxing match. If so, it was a technical knockout. Of course. And that is that is why we say, for people who underestimate Mark Golden, them not see nothing yet. What they have seen today from Mark Golden, it is just the smoke. Them not see nothing yet. Just a tip of the iceberg from Mark Golden, because if them believe it, them can bully Mark Golden. They have a next thing coming. Right? And for those people who believe that Mark Golden is not strong, they always warn them, silent river run deep. Let me warn you, when it comes to Mark Golden, silent river run deep. Now, who in charge of KSMHC? Well, we do. Forensic audit is going to be done. And so then who want to quench? And let me say something too. Let me say something now, because don't bother believe that we forgetting. You remember talk to Jamaica Labour Party. Don't bother believe that we're forgetting. Yeah. Because we're still concerned about the 320 pipe bombs. You think we not look out our ears? You think we not listen out our ears? Look out of your eyes? Eh? And we are smell from afar. And I wait. Whatever plan you people have up your sleeve. Right? Yes, man. Because we are not going to stop from talking about the 320 pipe bombs. So for any future use that you have in plan, you have them in plan, we are going to speak on them on a weekly basis. Yeah, man, we know what the GLP capable of, you know. And because we know, yes, our antenna is way up. Yeah. Our antenna is way up. So then for those who already conceiving themselves that if we can take it by the ballot, we are going to take it by the bullet. We will be making sure that we will be highlighting everything that needs to be highlighted, both home and abroad. We are on it. We are on it because we know the Jamaica Labour Party game book. We know the Jamaica Labour Party political game book. We read it so many times that we can recite it without opening a page. So let me tell you, find the plans. But all we are saying to you that Jamaica Labour Party will never maintain power. And I want to make sure that when we put in Mark Golding in power, we put in Mark Golding with a strong win. And I want to teach people certain things. That we don't want to give Mark Golding a marginal win. So people listen to me and listen to what I'm saying. This is very important. You see what Andrew Holness is doing with his 48 and Mark at 14. So Mark cannot challenge him on any form of policy where it has to deal with voting. Mark cannot challenge him because Mark simply don't have the numbers. So people want you to understand the politics. So then for the general election that come in, we don't want to give Mark Golding a marginal win. Because if we give Mark Golding a marginal win, what are we going to have? You are going to have the Jamaica Labour Party blocking and going against every policy that Mark Golding have to say that Mark Golding is not performing. So people, remember teach you the politics. You give PNP a marginal win. And when you give PNP a marginal win, certain policy agenda that requires voting, then PNP cannot achieve it. Because the GLP is going to go against them and block them. To say what? They are not performing. And so then, in order to have the People's National Party and Mark Golding getting the chance to do stuff within the first 100 days, I know something like these, the 100 days business there. You understand? But in order to make Mark Golding, right, can able to overturn certain policies that pass by this government, we have to put in Mark Golding in a strong way. So then if we could now convert the kind and have Mark Golding win with a 48 and them 14, then we have the right now to say that if Mark Golding don't do anything, we can blame him because he has the numbers. So then we need to understand the politics, right? That we need to make sure. Now, let me tell you something. Some people will say no because you need a strong opposition. Look, what the Jamaica Labour Party had done, we want certain policies to change. And the only way it can change. Because let me give people an example. The Integrity Commission Act, Section 53, subsection 3. What do you think is going to happen, right, in terms of Mark Golding getting a slim majority? GLP is going to block them because they don't want investigation into them. And so then we want that policy to be removed. So how is it going to be removed? By giving Mark Golding the numbers that he needs to have. It's simple and straightforward. So then he can deal with certain bills and get them into law. As simple as that. Because, look, Andrew Holness stand up on Mark Golding impeachment bill? Why him stand up on Mark Golding impeachment bill? If you never know. Because he has 48 and Mark Golding has 14. So he's not going to make the impeachment bill work. And to show you that he's corrupt, if Andrew Holness wasn't corrupt, why would he stop an impeachment bill? Why do you think Andrew Holness stopped the impeachment bill? Because he doesn't want to be impeached because he's corrupt. Why do you think Andrew Holness and his 48 members did not sign the code of conduct? He did not sign the code of conduct because he wanted to be corrupt. So Jamaican people, where you can't get it? Where you can't get it? It's straightforward enough. Here you have Donald Trump in America. Tell Americans that if you vote for him, he's going to go full dictator. That is what Donald Trump is saying. And you're telling me that you don't hear that? Now, let us go back further than Donald Trump. What do you think Hitler was doing? Hitler was speaking on some of those same messages. And yet, they still support Hitler. And what Hitler come do? You have witnessed over 6 million Jews gone to their death. So then what Andrew Holness is showing you? I am not going to sign, me and my men, we are not going to sign the code of conduct. Why we are not going to sign the code of conduct? Because we don't want you to hold us responsible. Let me tell you what Andrew Holness is saying. We are not going to sign the code of conduct because we have our premeditated corrupted plans where we want to carry out. And when we sign the code of conduct, you will use that and hold it against us. So we are not going to sign any code of conduct. But Andrew Holness warned us that we need to vote for him because when he wins, he's going to throw poison on us. That was the first poison that Andrew Holness threw on us. The first poison, muzzling the Integrity Commission. Muzzling the Integrity Commission. Right? The second poison is just illicit enrichment. And guess what? We don't want him to be accountable. We don't want him to be accountable. He has to be accountable. He has to be accountable. Right? See, John said, when he thought that he's going to throw poison on us and the only truth him ever tell, believe it. Thank you, John, for that. The amount of poison our education system wreck with him friend, Rural Reed, Petrotron, Think. The list goes on and on and on. And here today, Mark Golding speaking the truth. They are telling the Jamaican people in terms of their behavior that they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear nothing like that. And so then they walk out. They walked out. And every one of them ways to walk out, they're all corrupted. All corrupted. Remember when I sent out the thumbnail when he fired Warmington I send out the thumbnail and call them flip-floppers. Because they have to defend him when it comes to any corruption. Because they are corrupted. And so then no matter how you hear them in an argument, right? We prudent people, we don't follow them. We don't follow them. You see, Warmington come back in, 50 penny. Huh? You see, Warmington come back in to defend him. Because Warmington know why he's defending him. Right? Because they are all in the same boat. They are all in the same boat. So yes, my wonderful people, I think this is the end for me tonight. Seems like I'm treating this as a Friday night, you know. Well, Friday, we are going to run out, big bad and bold, and we will be running out every Friday. So for those who believe that they can intimidate, right? Yes. Turn on your TV and look. Mystic Sensation will be there on a Friday. All right? So, my people, once again, thank you for passing through, right? Obviously, you know that during the week, we are not going to have Jeopardy, but Fridays, Jeopardy, right? The real thing on Friday. So, we're looking forward to see you all on Friday to give you more information, you understand, as we research them and give the facts. And when we put out something out there, other persons can search and verify that what we are putting out is 100% facts. Velma, Warmington had not really been fired. It's just the usual game played by the GLP government. And you know, Velma, put up Velma. Velma is right. People, I want you to look what Velma is saying right there. Right? Velma is right. So I said, don't play into them game. Don't play into them game. They are all corrupted. All right.
Okay, again, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on this Tuesday evening. Really appreciate each and everyone's support. Also, thanks to Stella for that super chat that she gave.
Bless you, Stella.
Really appreciate that. And we are going to be trying to do another day during the weeks ahead, but it's not going to be a fixed day. It's whenever our schedule allows. So we'll just send out a notification anytime we're going to be coming on. But on Friday, you know, that is a fixed date, that is a must. But during the week, it's going to be a random days for now until we can figure out if we're going to be able to have a fixed one during the week. So guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate each and everyone for tuning in. You could have been doing something else, but you chose to be with us. So as usual, we do not take that for granted. And we are wishing you a wonderful and productive rest of the week until we see you on Friday. Enough love and respect, Mystic family. Bye.
All right.